welcome to the Alexa Show. I am Alexa Servadidio, your host, and thank you so much for tuning in. Well, tonight we have a little bit different type of show. Tonight I will be answering questions from you, the viewers. As some of you know, I've been doing Facebook Live on Sundays at 6 p.m. on Ask Alexa Therapy, and I have been getting so many incredible questions and ideas on different shows. And so many viewers have been writing in. I decided here on the Alexa Show to dedicate one show a month to answering your questions. So please, if you have any questions for any upcoming shows or the Facebook Lives at Sunday at 6 p.m., please check out my website, askalexatherapy.com. There's an email button there where you can send us your questions, or right there on Facebook Live, you can instant message it, or send us a message at alexas29@AOL. All names can remain confidential. Well, let's get started with our first question. Dear Ask Alexa Therapy, I've been noticing my anxiety keeps getting worse and worse, especially during COVID. I'm finding it difficult to leave the house, to go to the store, and even go out for a walk. What can I do? This is really an interesting question. Pre-COVID and now that COVID is going on, I've been getting so many questions during the show and also so many clients in my private practice dealing with these same type of issues. And let's start with pre-COVID. Your anxiety already was getting worse and you've been suffering from anxiety for a while. I think sometimes when you have anxiety, if you isolate yourself or you say, okay, going for a walk might cause anxiety, maybe I just won't go for a walk today. And that makes sense at first. But with anxiety, once you start limiting yourself in one area of your life, it will spread to all different areas of your life. So sooner or later, you'll realize going to the store will cause anxiety. Taking public transportation will start causing anxiety. And I don't want you to start limiting yourself to life's possibilities, because that only feeds into the anxiety. So what I do recommend is let's start with getting up each morning and actually leaving the house. Let's start small, as of just walking out your front door. And I know at first that seems like, what is that going to do? What impact does that have? What it does is it starts building up your self-confidence. I want you to be able to get up, walk outside, and stay outside your house or your building for about 5 to 10 minutes and time yourself. And I know at first it's going to seem really, really hard to do. Your anxiety will be kicking in, your racing thoughts, sometimes your heart races, and feeling very, very nervous. And I understand anxiety can be very crippling and paralyzing. So don't be concerned or discouraged if you're not feeling that great once you step outside. So step outside, have a planned time. Let's start with 5 minutes. Start counting back from 1,000, slowly concentrating on the numbers. And if you find yourself allowing negative thoughts, feelings coming in, start back at 1,000. And what that does is we train the thought to stop thinking about the negative feelings, the negative emotions, and the racing thoughts, which can become so overwhelming and cycle us out of control. So when we concentrate on the numbers, the body gets used to saying, okay, these are numbers, there's no emotions attached to them. And after time, you will start to find yourself decreasing in anxiety. Again, it might not happen right away, so don't be discouraged. Again, it's going to be practice, practice, practice. If the numbers don't work right away, try the alphabet, forward and backwards. If that becomes too easy, do every third letter forward and backwards. And what I'm getting to is the harder, the better. We want your mind to have a hard time trying to figure out the mundane thoughts or tasks I'm asking you to do, so you're not taken over by the anxiety. Once you start doing this, just like the negativity, as if you associate walking outside, your anxiety spikes up. Now your mind will associate walking outside, counting, your anxiety will start to decrease. So let's again start with the counting or the alphabet. Also, another trick that could really help those is some of my clients use an ice pack. And when they start feeling the anxiety to come on, they almost want to snap themselves out of it. So what they do is they take the ice pack and they put it on the inside of their wrists. And the cold will jolt them. So for a minute or a second, your mind will skip over the anxious thoughts. So again, I want to do all these little tools to help you be able to gain control over the anxiety. So maybe have that glimpse that yes, you do have some control and you will feel empowered. And the more and more you practice these, the more and more you'll feel more confident. So after that, that 5 minutes of just stepping outside can turn into 10 minutes, can turn into an hour, can turn to walking down the block. Again, what we want to do is small steps. I don't want you to shock yourself by saying, okay, I'm going to go to the supermarket and spend 3 hours. I'm going to go to the mall and spend all these hours when it's very crowded. I want you to take small steps. It's not about accomplishing it in one day. We need to take it slow so we don't re-traumatize you. And especially now during COVID, even more and more people have been isolating. They have not been going out in public. They haven't been doing their usually daily routine. So going out now might feel more awkward, might be more anxiety stricken, and that's okay. Don't get too concerned or wrapped into it that something is seriously wrong. Anxiety, yes, is very crippling and paralyzing, but it's very treatable. And I've worked with many, many clients doing talk therapy and also EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, to help them start overcoming their anxiety and empowering themselves. So little by little, you'll be showing yourself that you can take these small steps, and little by little, the anxious symptoms will start decreasing. So I'm not sure if this viewer has sought therapy or is seeing a therapist right now, but I would also get into treatment, because I believe that you don't have to do this on your own. You don't have to figure this out. And it's not a weakness that this anxiety is coming up. I always say we need a community. We need a team to support us, and also to hear different ideas, to also know what you're going through is okay, and that everybody else is going through something too, and you're not alone. So I would look into talk therapy, but also look into EMDR. I've been working with my clients for about 6 years now on EMDR, and I've had just incredible results. The EMDR can treat everything from anxiety, depression, OCD, addiction, trauma, abuse, all of that. I see first responders, police, firemen, returning veterans, to victims of domestic violence, to also people who have anxiety from, let's say, stage speaking, from singing in public, to fear of swimming. So also look into EMDR. You can also send me any questions, or if you have any ideas, please contact me here on AskAlexaTherapy.com or on Facebook Live. I hope I answered your question. Let's go on to our second question. Dear Ask Alexa Therapy, I have a grandson about 13 months old who I love and adore. He is the apple of my eye. I have become his full-time caretaker now while his parents are at work. I'm finding more and more that I'm becoming emotionally and physically drained. How do I bring up this dialogue with my son and his wife without seeming ungrateful? This is really an important question, and I don't think it gets covered that much, especially now due to COVID. More and more grandparents are becoming the sole babysitters, the sole caregivers to a young child, to many young children. So I hear what you're saying, and I think also in these times, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, it was very frightening and not even a question of letting an outsider come in and take care of your child, to bringing the child to daycare, to having outside even family members come in and take care of the child. And I totally understand where you're coming from. But you also have to understand, as a grandparent, you have to know your limits. You also have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And young children, as a mom myself with a 16-month-old, I myself get very emotionally tired and physically tired when taking care of my daughter. So I think it's very important that you know your limits, but you're also able to voice your concerns to your son and his wife. And I know, sometimes people might get nervous because they don't know about childcare, and they might not feel comfortable letting someone in right now. So I would bring up the discussion and ask them, what would they recommend? And also make sure that you're setting aside some time periods during the day, even if it's for 5 minutes, or a half hour where you can take a break. I'm not sure if the adult children are working from home or in the office. And I think sometimes it really takes time and some practice of learning how to schedule your time off, even if it's for a little bit, even if it's just going outside and getting a fresh air, or maybe even just taking a nap. And also making sure you're having lunch, making sure you're eating, because taking care of a young child, you're very physically active. You're running around a lot, and sometimes you don't realize that the day has passed and maybe you haven't had something to eat. Maybe you haven't had a glass of water. So one, I think, make sure you're doing that for yourself. And I think two, asking your son and your daughter-in-law to sit down and have an open discussion. And you might not come up with answers right away, and that's okay. This is going to be a work in progress. This is going to be an ongoing open discussion. And I think so many times people think, well, I'm going to have this discussion, I can't bring it up again. And then they're almost stuck with whatever decisions are made. This is an open, ongoing discussion. So make sure your son and his wife are aware of that. And also if they have any concerns, because I can imagine they do too, if they're working in the home or working in the office at this time can be very frightening, and people can be really worried about people that are going to be around their child. So I would just keep this as a work in progress. And also see, maybe there is a college student home or someone, a neighbor close by that you trust that can maybe take the grandchild out for a walk, using restrictions or social distancing if that's what you feel comfortable with. But I always say there's always a way for something. So make sure you do bring this to your son and his wife and explain how you're feeling. And also know your limitations, and it's not a weakness. And I know as we get older and grandparents, when you get to a certain age, it's different stages in life. And sometimes it's hard to say, I can't maybe do that anymore. I might not be able to lift my grandson up all the time, and I don't want to admit that. That's okay. It's better to be safe than sorry than actually injure yourself or put yourself out of commission and being so exhausted. So again, be honest with yourself, be honest with your son and his wife, so this discussion can get some decisions and keep moving forward. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please keep sending in your questions. I love to answer them. They're so incredible. And thank you for all the support that you're giving at Ask Alexa Therapy, and also for my YouTube channel, Ask Alexa Therapy. All the support and subscribers, please keep subscribing and keep tuning in and sending your questions, and also seeing us Sundays at 6 p.m. for Facebook Live, and also checking out all the new episodes of The Alexa Show. We have such incredible shows and guests coming up. Everyone, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone have a good night, and God bless.